Jesse Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
the best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, June 20th, 2025. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at Terry.
We have Aaron out at Graphics Pro Expo in Indianapolis. So if you're out there,
We'll see you're sitting in for Aaron, and Aaron's not too much sunlight coming in behind her. Are you ready to hear some news for Screen Printing Magazine?
absolutely. I always love to have Marcia in, and I know she's got some good ones today. Let's do it.
Morning, regulators. Guess who? And guess where I am? Check it out. This is my son Dylan's movie room. I was telling Terry he was a film minor at Kansas, and so he loves movies. So I'm going to go quicker. Okay, so got two important things going on at Screen Printing Magazine that are very relevant to what's going on in the world. First one is the headlines, Why USA Made Apparel is Surging, and this is how DTF and local production are reshaping retail. With Gen Z and millennials driving demand for transparency and speed, American-made custom apparel powered by DTF technology is gaining momentum, which is good news for us here in the States. They're continuing to navigate this uncertain global supply chain, so the return to American-made production is gaining fresh momentum. A growing number of consumers are actively seeking and will pay premiums for products manufactured closer to home. This shift is reshaping how companies think about fulfillment, customization, and sustainability. And why does Made in America still matter? Well, in the case of Retail Brew survey, nearly 70% of American shoppers say they're more likely to support brands that are manufactured in the U.S., even if it means paying more. And that movement is rooted in four key benefits: transparency and ethical labor practices, shorter supply chains with faster turnaround, improved environmental sustainability, and investment in local economies and innovation. And so DTF Printing meets all of these needs, especially the local fulfillment. DTF started out kind of a niche, and it's emerging as a cornerstone of localized, agile production. Unlike traditional screen printing, it allows for ultra-flexible small batch production without high setup costs or extended lead times. Don't need to tell you about that. Reshoring isn't just about patriotism, it's strategic. The Made in the USA label carries strong political resonance. It also represents a tactical advantage in a volatile global market. There's a blog called the NIST Manufacturing Innovation, and it highlights how reshoring contributes to product quality, IP protection, long-term supply chain resilience, and these are all critical factors for retail operations increasingly deferred by rapid cycles and demand shifts. So this comes to us from a company called Mugsy.com, MUGSIE.com, and they're kind of new to my life. Their marketing manager just reached out to me with this nice little piece. They have on their website a lot of real-world examples and free resources at Mugsy.com, so I encourage you to check that out. And then the other one is about those very famous tariffs, and this comes to us from our friends at Electronics, how to avoid tariffs, delays, and downtime with in-stock equipment. And with the impact of global supply chains challenges, American heat presses, they ship faster and deliver consistent results. So out of Carmichael's, Pennsylvania, our friends at Hotronics are proudly made in the USA heat presses, and that ensures decorators can start smart and stay ahead without the worry of tariff hikes and shipping delays. As you know, with steel and aluminum tariffs continuing to rise, many businesses are facing the challenges of increased costs and import issues. Like I said, all Hotronics presses are in stock, readily available. So businesses of all sizes have American-made equipment options to avoid disruptions and maintain a competitive edge. There are 4 reasons that the folks at Hotronics say that America-made is built for business. One is no tariff hikes or import delays. They are fully in stock and ready to ship. You get your American-made quality because they're engineered and built here in the United States to the highest of standards, and they come with a lifetime warranty. So this is on our website, but also you're probably very familiar with stalls.com/equipment or transferexpress.com heat-presses. So Are you guys so proud of me because I didn't go on for 5 days? And that is it. I will see you guys on the flip side. Stay cool. I'm dying of the heat in Texas. Like I said, I complain about it every year, even though I grew up here. And I wish you guys a great summer. I will check out with you in July.
All right. Thanks, Marcia. Sounds like Go USA here just before the 4th of July.
Well, hey, we always talk about this. It's especially, I think, coming back after COVID, we talked a lot about how the supply chain changed and how individual production makes such a big difference here. And it's not surprising to see that that's still coming back as part of this entire tariff thing. I mean, every time there's a question of where things are coming from, people are going to be looking to try and bring it closer to home.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yep.
Well, we do have a dad joke today, and Aaron actually left it in the outline for us. So I guess I will present Aaron's dad joke.
All the better for me to shake my head at, but let's go ahead and get that dad joke on.
All right, Eric. How does a sunflower ride a bicycle?
I don't know, Terry. How does a sunflower ride a bicycle?
With its petals. For all the
And
podcasts,
of course,
PEDALS, PETALS.
yeah, I don't know, man. Aaron, come on, dude. Why you got to leave that with us today, buddy?
I see Ramona said, what is that? Who is this guest host, Terry? Someone new? I guess you've been gone too long.
I guess I have been. Yeah, no, I'm even my own show today is going to be like, hey guys, I'm alive. Proof of life. Here we go. And also we got Doug chiming in saying, hi everyone from the Rocky Mountain National Park. Well, thank you for listening to us while you're out there, Doug. We appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right.
So if you guys don't know, we would love to have more of your live questions for you to interact. So if you are listening, please share this with the folks who are around. We'd love to see more of you guys in the chat and sharing. Even if we have already gone through the awesome dad joke, there's still a lot of content that you want to get in on.
All right. Hey, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to see the regulators participate in our show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of the show. Always looking for new guests, as Eric just said. If anyone would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys, book a future episode, or you can email us at info@tworegularguys.com. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would certainly appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions.
All right,
Eric, you ready to get rolling here and bring in our guests?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get everybody in on the party.
All right, we want to welcome into the show Fabric co-founders Stephen Farage and Bruce Ackerman. Stephen, do I have your last name correct?
It's close. It's Farrig, but
Okay.
I appreciate the effort. We'll give it a 8.5.
I'm going to say I'm not the first person to say it wrong. So
you're doing great. You're doing
freshman
great.
year in high school, right?
All good.
Math class.
Dealing with my whole life. Bruce is a little easier.
All right. Well, we don't. We used to do the stuffy bios at the beginning of the show, but now we just have you tell us a little bit about your journey in the industry. So, Bruce, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got where you are in the industry today.
Yeah, my name is Bruce. Originally Bruce from Printavo, still kind of Bruce from Printavo, although part of the Inktavo group now. Probably have seen Printavo in some shape or fashion, or may use it, but started a small manual shop way back in college and ran that for a bit. Afterwards, focusing more on the software to help what we needed as some sort of workflow system. and ended up helping to push that thing forward for a good 10, 12 years. And then also now helping out when working with Stephen Farrig and Kevin Baumgart to run Fabric, because I think it's a pretty helpful platform to be able to help shops continue to grow.
Well, the name says it all, doesn't it? How about you, Stephen?
So Stephen Farrig, co-founder at Campus Ink Printing, joined a print shop almost 11 years ago. Was Bruce's partner on the Print Hustlers podcast, and as Campus Ink continues to grow, have worked with a bunch of shops, and felt the need to start Fabric and continue helping shops grow. So been going on about 10 years in the industry so far.
Fantastic. How long has Fabric been
We ju-
established?
we just launched Fabric in April, so it
Okay.
is brand new.
Well, Adrienne Palmer was telling us about it, and I thought, well, this sounds pretty cool. So here you are.
Here we are. Adrian's great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we all kind of see the need for this stuff, but we obviously are huge on education, or we wouldn't be doing what we've been doing for the amount of time we've been doing it. So we love to see that the concept of coaching is something that's not far from our hearts at all. But certainly, I'd like to just get right into questions about the actual process, about shops and print shop owners and how they work, if you don't mind. So the first question we kind of have on board was, what do you think causes most print shop owners to plateau after a few years in the business? And I guess we'll start. Whoever wants to jump on that first, grab it. I know that's a big question, but yeah,
Go for it, Bruce.
Thoughts on it?
Yeah, and to help clarify too, so Fabric is it's monthly coaching that's done in a group format. So you meet with a business coach that's generally EOS certified, which we'll talk more about, but it's really powerful to help elevate shop owners, really because of this plateau thing. So Printavo has helped and runs a few thousand shops and manage all their orders and payments and scheduling, all this stuff. So we've had like a crazy amount of exposure to a lot of business owners. And one of the things that we do hear about a lot is that, like, I'm not sure what else to do. Like, I've been the guy on the ground floor. I've been doing and pushing things forward, the things that I know I can do. I try to do the best I can. I try to, retain staff. I try to hire the people that I know best to do. But question A is like, what should I be focusing on next to continue to grow? And B, people start to ask, like, where are we going with this? Like, what am I putting all this time into long term for this business? And so you hit that natural plateau because you're isolated. You're in this box continually working on this business. And it was me for Printavo. And you have two choices. You either kind of flatline, or unfortunately, folks will burn out because you're stuck in that and you're churning through trying to get above water. So I think, it's not their fault. It's just we are starting to help people get outside of that box by being able to talk to an actual business coach. It's like going to the gym or, starting to do some sort of new training exercise and using someone that's already been there, done that to be able to help talk to and bounce ideas off. I mean, what do you think, Stephen? You do a lot of coaching too, separately.
When we all went into business, we didn't go to, Harvard Business School. A lot of us do not have MBAs and all these different things. So we never designed our business of how we actually did it. We work day in and day out. We sell shirts, we make money, we buy more equipment, we keep doing it. Management of people, leadership, accounting, finance, all this different stuff takes a back seat. And then we get to 10 years in and it's like, am I making money? What is going on? And it's very lonely, right? And so I think that's just the epidemic of small business ownership, really.
Honestly, can I just highlight that too? Like the "am I making money" thing. The amount of times I've heard, the shit. It's the end of. Oh, sorry. I don't know if what happens with this being live, but like this is the end of the year. Why did I like? There's not that much cash left over in the bank account. Where are we at? Well, like what happened? That's also a huge, just emotional and financial plateau to work through.
Well, measurement. I mean, isn't that the thing? I think people aren't even considering it. You're so, like you said, you're so busy working in it, you're not stopping to consider it that you're really not measuring or not taking real stock of what's going on, I think, in that bubble, especially if you really kind of haven't gotten above the working in the business at, more than working on the business kind of curve. That's got to be hard for a lot of folks.
But
I know a lot of
I
small
do
shops
get
end up there.
the seasonality. It makes it very difficult. The sort of unknowns. We've been dealing with sort of a 5 years ish of like kind of a COVID reverb effect. Just natural changing business environment. Like you guys talk about DTF. I mean, I do think that there's some like DTF downward pricing pressure happening because it's so easy for people to spring up smaller businesses and handle smaller jobs out of their home or, get into the space. So, yeah, I mean, it to your point, it's difficult. It's difficult, and that's why you need the tribe.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's probably a lot of just being able to say it out loud to somebody. It's a little bit of therapy, I would think. But a lot of folks go into their own business because they say they want to have more freedom. Of course, my response to that is owning your own business gives you the freedom to work all the hours there are in the day, especially when you start up. But people feel like they get chained to their business. So what are some a few steps to reverse that so that you don't feel like you're doing that 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. grind 7 days a week?
Yeah, we talk a lot about like what does it mean to run a calm business? And in my opinion, if you go to any like company that's doing really well, the owner, the CEO is not hands-on in the business every single day. And so one thing that we push really hard is actually getting out of your shop. Literally, like, can you dedicate 1 day a week where you are not in your shop? You go work somewhere else because it allows the employees to figure things out on their own and also teaches you not to be a micromanager. So something as simple as creating space actually creates room for growth and opportunity. While it might be uncomfortable to start, it's actually one key thing to do is actually just leave for a little bit. Yeah.
Steven pushes this like crazy. I don't know if you guys heard of this, but he says, when was the last time you actually just left? Like, all right, it's Wednesday at 1:00. I'm leaving. I'm not coming back till tomorrow morning. And it's surprising how many people haven't or don't feel like they can or feel guilty about doing that. But really enjoy it once they're able to do it and then find that nothing happened. Like, it's been fine. Things continued on.
I had an experience once where I was running a production floor in Kansas City, 75 production floor employees, and I went on about a 10-day vacation. I came back, and one of the owners said to me, "Well, everything was perfectly smooth. It's like you didn't even need to be here." And I said, "Well, you're welcome." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Before I got here, were you able to do that?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, no. That's why we hired you." So yeah, it can be done. And something, whenever I go in and run a new production shop, I always, when somebody comes to me with a problem, which is 3 minutes after you get there the first day, I always say, "Well, what would you do?" And then they come back the next time, they come back and say, "Well, we've got this problem. Here's what I think we should do." And then the next time they don't come back because they think, well, this guy believes in me. He knows that I can do this. So I'm not going to go and ask him how to run my business. And I love it when you guys said about when you said micromanagers, because Aaron and Eric and I joke about writing a tongue-in-cheek book, how to micromanage your business to success. So all the things that you should not do in your business.
Yeah, it'd be a big empty book. Yeah, because honestly, that's something unfortunately, it's like I've seen one side or the other, right? We talk about people being like there all the time, or there's people who just assume things are going to get done, and then when there's no like standard operating procedures, they just don't get done in the way they expect. But then they're not measuring. It really, I think, honestly, though, I think it's more like you said, more of the small shops, or when you have these family businesses that then grow to a size where they're actually starting to live on as their own entities and not just as a family group of the original managers. They can kind of be, they still want to be hands-on on every little detail, but you don't need to be. You're not going to be the pressman and the embroidery operator and the business operator and everything all together and still be able to make any headway.
I think the point you made, Eric, earlier is you can't work on the business if you are in the business. So it's incredibly hard to context shift and say like, I'm on press, but oh yeah, I need to go write SOPs. And so if you truly want to work on the business, you almost have to remove yourself and do it habitually. And that's how you start to actually work on it is by like physically not being there or creating space for yourself.
But
So,
but personally, and this is not like sort of sob story, feel bad for anything. I think it was a guilt thing of not being out of the business to let people start doing their thing. Like I think it was I'm the guy who it was here from day zero and pushes everything through in every single department. And now on year 5, I'm the person that can still be able to do that. I'll, superhero it and push it. I'll put more time in. I'll just keep putting more time in and push it through. Whereas, unfortunately, that's not the answer from, call it, maybe it's the 0 to 1 stage, but not the 1 to whatever 5 stage. And removing, like letting go of that, like ego, like I shouldn't be that role. And like allowing people to start to self-solve things. Because you almost kind of like bumper cars, like at the bowling alley with those lanes, you almost keep putting up these lanes all everywhere. I was doing it in customer service. I was like, oh, no, that's a QuickBooks issue. Got it. That's an engineering issue bug. Got it. Feature, I'll stay up late night and build that. It's a bigger sale coming in. Put me onto the call. Let me run the call. Like all these different things that just don't work over time. So to be honest, we kind of do it to ourselves.
Oh, totally. In fact, I'll say for my part, I had a boss who, by the way, not a fantastic boss, but he gave me some of the best perspective I ever had. Because I was jumping into every role. I was doing e-commerce, I was doing the embroidery digitizing, I was running the networking in the building. I'm punching down cables, I'm doing everything. Anything that had an electron passing through it, I was touching it. And eventually he said, you know what? I don't want to say this because you're really important to the business, but you become a single point failure. If you disappear, everybody's relying on you because you won't let anybody else learn anything. When you disappear, if you get sick, nothing gets done. Now you're the problem. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't right about a lot of stuff, but boy, that hit. I'm like, oh man, if you do take on too much now, if nobody's been empowered to learn or figure that stuff out, now you are the failure point, and you're making it more likely that there'll be a crash at some point. But yeah, I hear that in my head a lot. Oh, the single point failure. I'm like, oh, that's me. That's me jumping into everything. I think a lot of owners do that. But here's the thing, I think some of that comes from that small business mindset. People are getting their hands in there. How can people start shifting to becoming these, leaders instead of just doing the actual work? How can they shift to that even if they are small or don't have a lot of employees?
That's the $1 million question. I like to say, like, we were just talking about this the other day, is you shouldn't wait until you're sick to start exercising. And so like habits and forming those habits have to start at an earlier stage in your business, meaning you can never start saying, when I get to this point, then I'll get a business coach, or when I get to this point, then I'll go to the trade shows and then I'll start taking classes. If you start building those habits well early on, they'll continue through the life cycle of your business. And so, going to trade shows, taking classes, talking to other shops, really focusing on education and being a student of the industry rather than like a master of it, I think is like the first step, is almost having awareness that I need help and I don't know this all.
I love it.
I think the reality is until you have every role covered, and maybe that's about 7 people or so, like maybe closer to $1 million-ish, or maybe 700 to $1 million-ish in revenue, you are always sort of you're always pushing things through the door. But with the big asterisk that I wish I would have just taken like 2 hours a month just to think about, like, where are we going with this longer term? Instead of I need to get this done because it has to be done by the end of today, or to get out by tomorrow so that the customer gets in and moves on by the next day or next week. It was, by the end of this year, what do I want to be doing? Like, what do I want to try to make financially? What do I want to bring home for owner's pay? What do I want the business revenue to do to help me be able to have that owner's pay? What role do I want to have? What do I want to spend my time during day to day? I don't want to spend my time working on tickets and stuff, but like I never thought about that. I never thought like I want to get out of doing customer service and support, like whenever it pops up and I jump in on it. And being able to take those 2 hours, thinking about that and how I'm going to get there and trying to repeat that process, that's where I think could be the easy step forward. That costs nothing to be able to do. And spending that time to do it, I think could be powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
It's huge.
Well, Bruce, you'd mentioned having a calm business. So what's a common bottleneck or fire drill in most shops that could be solved with simple systems, simple processes?
Oh, I got to forward this to Steven. I mean, this is your realm.
You know, I think business owners are really good firefighters. We can just come in there and, you know, like whatever it might be, this on press, this here, steps to get done, I'll just do them. And so there's a running joke of like Hurricane Steven at Campus Inc. Sometimes I'll run through there and it will be a hurricane by the time I leave. But really you have to evaluate, you know, fires will exist in your company every single day. And so you have to focus on putting up not fire extinguishers, but smoke detectors, right? And smoke detectors, to Eric's point, are SOPs and leaders and procedures and processes and checklists and putting, you know, all the Lean Six Sigma stuff of putting the answer where the question is, right? And so if you spend time doing that, and it could be something as stupid as how to zero out a press. I don't zero out very many presses, but every time I do it, I have to put my hands out and just remember, like, righty away from you, lefty pulled back to you. It's like, what if you just put stickers down below your press so that your press ops know this is how you zero out a press every time. So when you're getting ghost prints and you're not registering, you're like, hey, did we zero out all the presses? And now there's a sticker there to remind everyone. So it's the simple little things. And when you go into really big factories, they have them everywhere. And sometimes they're idiot proof, but you sort of need them, I think.
Well, what about other things like when you were in like more involved in production and in Champagne, Stephen, of the being a bottleneck or, you know, where people are asking you or I don't know, like when I'm in calls with a lot of shop owners too, they'll get knocks on the door constantly.
Is this
like,
okay?
What are examples of those? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it would be like press checks where they would like bring a shirt to me like, is this okay? And then I'll take a look at it and then I'll get nitpicky. And it's like, just press checks. Is there a process for press checks to pull up the proof and hit a checkbox all the way through? Something as simple as press checks, or, you know, it's like almost creating little games for them to play. Eric and Terry, you probably have more examples of firefighting in a shop than we do. I'm curious what you guys have seen.
You know, a biggie for me when, and that's, I've run production in a lot of different shops around the country. And one thing was like the art director would say, you know, 5 different people came and asked me if this was spelled correctly. And I'm like, well, you know, and of course then it was all paper. And I'm like, well, at some point, didn't you think, yes, this spelling is correct per customer, and sign your name to it so that 4 of those people wouldn't have to come and ask you that question? So a lot of running around and asking questions without anybody documenting, yes, this is correct, and off you go. I don't know, Eric.
It's because everyone doesn't want the blame, though. Because there's been that one time where something's misspelled.
When you ask somebody to sign their name to something, here's my great example. I was on the East Coast, and a sales rep had written blue as a color, blue. And I said, what shade of blue is this? Oh, it's navy. I'm like, well, would you sign your name on here that it's navy? Oh, hold on, let me call the customer. Oh, it was royal. But as soon as you ask somebody to initial or sign their name, then it's ownership time, and things run more smoothly.
No, I've got to agree with you there. For me, it's always been the approval process. Most problems happen because information doesn't travel, not because something's wrong on the press or on the machines. You guys know my world is embroidery. The top problem with embroidery production spoilage is not technical. It is always information. So I was super early on the bandwagon for centralized information sharing. That's the thing. Also, recursions. Everything travels downhill. Not if you see things constantly going back upstream, we have problems. Because by the time each department finishes with something, it should be done. Like they are delivering their finished product to the next department in the chain. Yes, people need to ask questions sometimes, but when it's all the time, when you're constantly going back to the first person you talk to a customer to clarify, then something's going wrong with the process there. Though the funny thing is, I'll say the other one that drives me nuts, literal physical problems. Like you were talking about stickers on the presses. People who back in the day when it was all paper, there was one printer in the building that was networked and people were all walking to the printer. And you watched people just wearing their feet out and spending hours just walking to one networked printer in one corner of one building out of 3. And it's just like all day long they were walking that printer, and everybody's worried about somebody taking breaks. I'm like, they could have taken breaks all day if they didn't have to walk to the printer constantly, or not having. The other one that drove me nuts, I was consulting with a group of people, and they were all running around looking for the one screwdriver they liked for changing needles. I about lost my mind. I'm like, all right, find the screwdriver, find the brand, buy 5 of them, get a magnet on it, stick on the side of every machine. And I don't ever want to see somebody looking
put a chain on it. But I think about it as when you're in those fires, you do it, you get out of it, and you're like, crap, we need to rewrite this process.
Yeah.
And it happens again, and it happens again, and you might ask a shop, how long have you been doing it this way? And they'll be like, it's been years. We've been doing it this way for years. And so to actually stop and vocalize and say, it's kind of like going to AA, like, this is a problem. I have a problem and I need to fix it. Can someone hold me? I know what to do to fix it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, everyone knows what they need to do to fix a problem, but oftentimes they don't have someone to kind of give them a kick in the butt and say, when is this going to be done, executed, taught, trained, learned, processed, published? And so sometimes it's just accountability. I think that's one of the biggest things is who holds an owner accountable.
Huge.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So one quick thing on that too is that I talk about QuickBooks because it's been a scarring thing of Printavo connects to QuickBooks, and that's how this integration works, and you do your bookkeeping and stuff there. But I was managing all the issues and errors and was totally the bottleneck for anything that popped up, which was constant of, issues of the data not moving correctly. And when someone else came in, a technical leader, they were like, well, what's the process? So like we can get you out of this and support can just handle this and engineering can handle this. And it's like, well, it's just totally in my head. But my reason of justifying that is because I can handle it way quicker. I'll just do it. Right. Now, unfortunately, you multiply that times however many times a week, times weeks in a year. And it's kind of disgusting about how many times we just jump in and can constantly do something. So I did exactly what Steven said. So for almost 6 months, every time I responded to something, I added it to a doc. So if this was the error, try this. If true, like if that was the reason, then do this. If false, then do this, and so on. And this doc kept growing and growing, but at least people could reference and be able to go to that. That was a little thing that helped. But it required like a constant, like plus a couple minutes every single time of an investment.
I think people don't see that investment. And I'll say I got teased mercilessly for making a real honest to goodness flowchart at the job because we were constantly having those problems with information disappearing. And I stopped and just said, all right, here's the flowchart. I described on a flowchart how a job went through the system. And everybody's like, look at all these loops. I'm like, yeah, look at all these loops. Look at every place where we have these decision loops that keep on backing up. Like there's your loss. Like there's your time. Admittedly, when I rocked up with a flowchart to the meeting, boy, I heard that for the rest of my time at that company.
I think that's why we're all getting along. I believe we're all spreadsheet nerds. I'm realizing it now.
Well, I mean, it works. If you can't measure it, how are you ever going to figure this stuff out? Right.
But I think like Terry, like we're spreadsheet nerds and we're data driven and starting to create data driven decisions. It's crazy how many shop owners don't track things. It's scary. And so I'll work with shops and I'll be like, we're working on financial models and like, can I get your accounts receivable? And like, well, it's not accurate. Well, I'm like, you don't know how much money you need to collect. Sometimes it's hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hold on, stop. Once a week, we're doing this and we need to report it every single week. it's scary how many things are untracked, and that's how you lose sleep. You lose years on your life from not tracking things, you know.
I can't sleep at night. That's the one complaint of business owners, and it's just that, because they don't know where they are. They don't know, they're not scheduling production. They're juggling production, all those kind of things, and it takes that moment to stop and document, just like you guys are saying. Hey, let's take a quick break. Hear a word from our sponsor, Promo Hunt.
Absolutely.
If you sell decorated apparel, then you're constantly on supplier websites like Sanmar, Alpha Broder, and SNS Activewear, comparing prices and checking inventory. Stop wasting time comparing prices the hard way. Just install Promo Hunt's free browser extension. Then, when you're on a supplier website, Promo Hunt will automatically compare your prices with all your suppliers and will let you know if you can save. With Promo Hunt, you'll always be just one click away from seeing all your prices and inventory in one screen. Promo Hunt shows other helpful information too, like similar product ideas, supplier phone numbers, preferred pricing, and coupons on thousands of supplier websites. Promo Hunt saves you time and money, helping you quickly find and buy great products at competitive prices. The best part is that Promo Hunt is completely free. Join 7,000 decorators and distributors that use Promo Hunt every day to save time and money. Visit promohunt.com and sign up in less than 60 seconds.
Thanks again to the folks at Promo Hunt for sponsoring Two Regular Guys. Check them out at promohunt.com/apparel if you'd like to see more. Once again, appreciate you guys for chipping in.
And it's free.
With that, yeah, it's free. Once again, as they said, Terry always brings up, he's like, the creator's mother said, "What? Why is it free?"
Why is it free?
Understandably. All right, so I want to kind of get back into the questions. So you guys, Fabric.ink, by the way, I'll bring that back up for you guys who don't know about who we're talking to, these creators of Fabric.ink, as well as everything they've done previously that we've been talking about as well. But we've kind of been discussing taking that time to work. And thought it was a good question to kind of start out. Let's say someone is listening and they don't have a bunch of that time, or at least they haven't managed to kind of break out a lot of time yet. Let's say they have 5 hours a week to work on their business. They're still deep in that process of they haven't covered all of those stations like Bruce said earlier. What do you think they should focus on first? What would you do first to step out of the business and work on it?
Step number 1, you need to leave your shop. Like get in your car and go home, or just leave. 5 hours a week is a lot, Eric. I was thinking like 2 hours a week, but
admittedly, my first step out was much shorter than that. You
have to get out, and I'll say that and say it again. And I think step number 2 is you need to find help. Whether it's another business owner, a friend, an advisor, a mentor. Fabric is one of the things that we've talked about. But just recognize that doing this alone is incredibly difficult. And it's really hard to be held accountable to do the big things and work on the business. It is so hard to do. And so sometimes I will find friends that own other companies and be like, hey, do you want to work on a project? Like you work over here, I'll work over here, but let's just go somewhere and just like think big picture. So I think a lot of it is like mindset, space, setting, and actually putting yourself in a situation where you can actually clearly think on the business. Bruce, what do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think even just the 1 hour, half an hour, something of, being able to, first of all, get rid of the sort of day-to-day, because the first 30 minutes is always I'm just constantly thinking about all the stuff that I have to get done. Mm-hmm. But I find that time of where we're going, and part of this EOS program that we use in Fabric, you have a weekly meeting about this, so it forces you to up level and think about some of the bigger things happening. This weekly scorecard meeting, it's called an L10 meeting, but basically you're reviewing all of these high level numbers, and it could be just 2-3 numbers of maybe it's receivables, average order value, number of orders, something like that, to be able to review either yourself or with a couple people, the team members. and be able to think higher level. But to Steven's point, even being able to do that, if you could do that with those people, but at a lunch spot, it really helps mentally clear your mind. I don't know what it is, but physically not being there is pretty powerful.
I like that.
I mean, honestly, I think people don't really think about the good side of that. I know we talked about the guilt that builds up or those other feelings that we get, but whenever I've talked to people about how to help employees that are having trouble kind of getting motivated, I'm like, guys, the only way to get intrinsically motivated is to give them a little bit of autonomy, give them a path towards some kind of mastery over their task, and connect them to some purpose, or help them to connect their own purpose to what you're doing. And if you're just over their shoulder waiting for them to step out of line and taking over their job, no one's going to be intrinsically motivated. So even if we're talking about not just working on the business, but people are worried about during that time they're gone that their employees are going to be just unruly or whatever that is. Like, yeah, sometimes that's, if you want any chance of them getting motivated, you got to be outside of the business physically, just so you can't.
But also, like,
that stick.
What's the longer term goal? Like, honestly, if you think about this, I wish I would have thought in 5 years, do I want to be putting in 50, 60, 70 hours, micromanaging, doing all this, having anxiety, going on vacation, being in financial worry, like really so day-to-day focused long term? Like, that sounds miserable. I mean, you literally might as well just have a job. It's so, like, just clock out at 5 and leave and don't even think about it. So taking that time to actually think about that and getting to know that, like you said, enjoying being a business owner more, I think would be a lot more helpful.
Well, along those lines, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I've certainly worked with a lot of people over the years that are like this. Too many ideas, too many directions. I want to do this. I want to do that. Maybe we should start embroidery. Maybe let's do this. Let's do that. How do you help owners get clarity and kind of rein all that in and decide what direction to go?
Steven loves ideas. So
I'm a big idea guy. So part of EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, and it's based off this book called Traction, is really outlining the 4 or 5 projects that you're going to work on for 90 days and learning how to say no to everything else. And so a lot of times, the business owner is the ADHD. I want to do this. Okay, let's go buy embroidery machines. I want to do this. Let's go buy a DTF machine. Or I want to do this. And they're not thinking, sometimes they're thinking day to day and not year to year, or let alone 90 days to 90 days. So really, a lot of this is actually learning how to say no over and over and over again. And when you can learn how to say no, you can say yes to the things that actually matter. And so, like, the prioritization is a very hard thing to do in business, because we see another company doing it. Oh, they're selling 100 shirts for $3.99. Let's do that. Go. We need Facebook ads. Go. And it's like, no. There's a lot that goes into running a big campaign like that. You can't just flip a switch. So it's learning how to say no, I think.
Yeah, I feel like a couple things. One, I don't think anybody running a business wants to be the cheapest option. And so if we rethink about, well, I want to be one of the more premium options. That's where we're going longer term. What does that mean? And what do we need to be able to do? I do understand that, like, when you get started, you kind of are absorbing as much as you can and taking in as much as you can. But if you look at the bigger print shops, they're dialed. Like, they just do fundraisers. They just do music merchandise. They just do retail ready merchandise. Like, it's clear that they start to zero in and really, really focus on that niche and become the masters of that space. So, I mean, Steven said saying no. There's a great Steve Jobs quote. He says the power isn't saying yes, it's saying no. Like, it's easy to add and add and add. But that adds weight to the business and makes it less nimble. The other concept I really like that meant a lot, that I really tried to focus on, is you get a glass every day. You get like an empty cup every single day. And so you can choose. You either put little pieces of task, which are little pieces and grains of sand, in that cup, and you fill it up, or you try to put the bigger rocks or the things that are more important, that actually drive value and make a difference to the business, and you put those in first, and then you can fill in the sand. Unfortunately, we love a little bit of like dopamine hit in the kickoff of the morning. We add in the sand and a little bit of tasks and stuff until we're just tapped afterwards, and there's no more room in the glass for those bigger pieces of rocks. And so we're not able to really work on ideas or things that matter to the business instead of get distracted and stuff later. So, rethinking that and rethinking the day, and like that's an actual tactical thing I think truly, truly helps. Michael, our EOS coach at Fabric, is like, are you kicking off your morning working on the single most important thing for the day? Like, the one thing, pick one thing that makes the most impact. Is that what you're starting your day off on? I guarantee 90% of us, me included, are probably not.
And I think that's the kind of the interesting thing about it. It's like we started out here kind of talking about clarity, and I mean, you tied that very quickly to purpose or to a long-term goal. That's important, but people forget kind of the habit side of that. That it really is. Yeah, there's the long-term goal stuff. We have to stop and check that out. But then there's also on the ground, if you do all that stuff and you leave and you get everything in mind, but then as soon as you go back to the shop, as soon as you go back to your office, you go right back to the original habits you had before you stopped. That's not really going to help you much. So when you see people who are successful at reframing this stuff, what do you think is like one habit you think those successful people tend to take on? Aside from just like taking stock, is there something else like habitually daily that you think is important? Aside from, I mean, obviously the top one would be, working on the important stuff out of the gate. What else do you think is a good habit people can get into?
We actually interviewed the CEO of AS Color, Clive, the new CEO, and we're kind of asking him, like, you're managing this, company that's massive with thousands of employee warehouses. Like, what do you do every single day? And he said, like, every single day, my mornings are the same. I work out every morning. I spend a little bit of time, whatever, with my kids maybe. And then these are the 5 metrics that I look at every morning before the day starts, before things kind of come unglued. And so it's like creating those really strong habits. And I think while they're business focused, they're also personal focused, because if you exercise, I haven't met a loser that's worked out in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't met someone that prioritizes their health and eats a good breakfast and feels good, right? When we have those mornings, the rest of our days tend to go really well. And so it's one of those things where you actually have to prioritize yourself first and make sure you're in a good space, you're well rested, you're sleeping, all those different things. I don't think business owners prioritize themselves, and I think that really affects their ability to lead.
So kind of like putting your own mask on, right? It's the old airline thing. It's like put on your own oxygen before you go put somebody else's on, so you don't crap out before you actually can help.
You have to clarify that joke now post COVID. It's
I know, right now the oxygen mask that drops down. Every once in a while, listen back to the safety instructions. I know we tune out. We're already like headphones in, but.
And they had to add to it, take off the mask before you put on the mask. True. All right. Hey, let's wrap with this, guys. And you've touched on several things here already, but what's one golden nugget of advice you would give a business owner today? One golden nugget of advice. Who wants to go?
I can't do one. I'm going to rifle 6 within the one time. Okay. So number one, whether it's Fabric.ink, somebody, a coach, a mentor that can, in a peer group, that can hold you accountable, that can be somebody that you go to, that you can report to, that can really pull you out. Number 2, a personal assistant was a complete game changer. You can hire one on somewhere.com. Belay is another one. I was paying for someone that was part-time that helped me personally and work-wise to take off minutia little tasks, so I did not have to think about that. The third is a next level hire. It's insane how much a true A player is a multiplier over a B, let alone a C player. I mean, it's probably 2x. So if you're looking and you're at a point where you're ready to make that production manager hire, or someone in the front office that's just handling and shuffling operations of streams going different ways, someone that's really, really good, even if you pay them 50% more, you get 2x an A player than a B. I mean, I'm telling you, when you find that person, it's insane. Number 5, there's a saying, show me your calendar, I'll show you your priorities. It's again the thing of what is the most important thing that you're working on, and are you kicking off your day with that? And then lastly, I have found if you give yourself less time, very kind of practical thing, if you give yourself less time to work during the day, you get this stuff done. If you got a flight at 2 p.m. and you got to make it and get to the airport, you somehow manage to get everything that you needed to get done for the day and going. If that flight's at 8 p.m., guess where you're at? You're still there, plugging and chugging at God knows what. But it's kind of a magical thing that happens. Steven, what do you got?
I love it.
I don't know if I can top that, Bruce. You just took every single one. I'm just kidding. I'll keep it more simply. We're at this ThreadX conference, and we got to listen to Ryan Holiday. He writes about stoicism, and it was some cool advice. He says, emphasize the importance of building a business that lasts, focusing on effort rather than outcomes, and recognizing the value of patience and adaptability, stressing the importance of being yourself and making a positive contribution to the world. So you are not your business, you are yourself, and it's important to think big picture and design a business that complements your life.
Oh, that's serious. That's good. All right. Well, for the guys who don't already know, we were talking about Fabric.ink. How can people find out more about Fabric.ink and your process that you guys are?
Yeah, so www.fabric.ink, that's INK, like ink we put on a shirt. We launched 3 cohorts in April. We're launching another 3 in July. Once you apply, there's a simple interview process, but really it's to put you in the right group with non-competitive geography, the right niche, and the right revenue size. And each group is about 8 people, and they meet once a month. So that's the long and short of it. Bruce, did I miss anything?
That's it. Pumped. It's really, really helping a lot of people. You know, if you're engaged, you want to spend the time and the investment in it. The return is insane to be able to have that group, be able to up level yourself as an owner.
Perfect. Cool. That's awesome. This has been great, guys. We loved having you on. A lot of really super information, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Maybe back here on the show, or maybe out at Printing United.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate it.
It's really great. Thank you, sure. All right. Well, sir, that was good. There's a lot of stuff, both high level and on the floor, to think about there. So that's really awesome. Always love to see that kind of solutions based thinking going on.
Exactly right. Exactly right. All right. Well, we've got a secret sauce coming up here. A few more minutes left in the show. I've got not much on my calendar close up. My next screen printing class will be in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply, September 6th and 7th. Believe it or not, that class is already starting to fill up. So if you're interested in that, and you can also find all of my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. Eric, you want to share what Aaron's up to?
Absolutely. So Aaron right now is at Graphics Pro Expo. And as you guys know, he's in Indy. Tomorrow he'll be teaching the Marketing Better in 2025 from 8:30 to 10 a.m. local time there. That session is packed with practical tips to help you find clarity in your messaging, stand out in a noisy world, and connect authentically with your ideal customers. Once you pay for the attendance on the show floor, the education is free. So you're going to want to go to graphicsproexpo.com. That's graphics-pro-expo. And you can still use the APAS25IN to get 50% off if you need to. But yeah, that is going on now. So check that out tomorrow and absolutely check him out and get that information. He also says he's got a strengths-based strategy session, a 30-minute conversation to help you clear out what's working if you're feeling stuck in your business, even though you're working nonstop. So if you want to check that out, you want to go to osg.link/SVP, and you can get in on one of those sessions with Aaron. So that's another thing to check out as well. And then for me, I'm actually going to tell you guys that I don't have an official episode number for today because I'm just going to do a catch-up. This is just going to be a story time with Eric today for what's been going on for the move. I've been out for 3 weeks with the big transnational move that I've done. So honestly, I have been kind of out of commission for a little bit. So I'm going to come back on with the take up catch up today. And so today at 2:30 Mountain Time, but now for me 4:30 Eastern Time, I will be telling everybody about kind of what's been up for me and what we should look forward to soon. But a short, very conversational setup. I know I say short and go an hour and a half. I'm really going to try not to this time around. But we'll talk about my move, what that means for the show. Not a ton, but that we're going to talk about the other embroidery opportunities and educational opportunities going to bring up me being out here in the East. So that's coming up this afternoon shortly. Unfortunately, did not get posted early. We are just getting back together and getting my setup together, but I'll try and catch everybody up at least a little bit with what's going on in my world and in the wild and woolly world of Pennsylvania that I find myself in now as a New Mexico native.
Are you saying that the move didn't run smooth as glass, or
let's just say I'll give you the one taste of it is that we had to do a lot of this moving over ground with animals, and I had to do this move, the drive 3 times. So I have driven 1,800 miles 3 times in the last 10 days. So if you've never done, they're not in the last 10 days, more like 15 days. But yeah, I have done now 3 full cross country drives. 10 hours a
had
day
no
each,
idea that you did that. Oh my gosh.
Well, in an RV with my wife and 6 cats because she loves cats more than life. Let me tell you, there's some fun stories that are not embroidery related. I will probably relay a couple of those, but I didn't know you could get special calluses on your hands from driving. I now know.
You can join the Teamsters now, man. You've made.
Oh yeah, man. I've got it. I'm good for trucking now. I know what it's like driving a big a big piece of equipment across country. About what we figured it out, some 4,000 plus, almost 5,000 miles all told. So yeah, I've got it under my belt now.
That's awesome.
Right. Well, with that, let's get back to the actual thing people want to hear, and what they want to hear is from you. They want to hear your secret sauce, sir.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's go for it.
All right, my secret sauce today is what you need to understand about DTG pre-treating. The key component of printing on a direct-to-garment or DTG printer isn't the printer or the artwork or anything else, it's the pre-treating. This part of the DTG equation is the basis for a quality finished product. So why do we pre-treat? What we want to accomplish with an application of pre-treat is giving us a base to print on, a base for our ink. It's much like the flash step in screen printing. Pre-treatment causes the white ink underbase to start to cure from the bottom up. That's what keeps that white ink on top of the fabric. So the fabric matters. Your best friend as a DTG decorator is ring spun cotton. So what difference? What's the difference? Cotton's cotton, right? Ring spun cotton uses thinner threads than regular cotton. That translates to a tighter weave and a smoother surface to print on. The finished image on the shirt is bright, crisp, and exactly what our customer is hoping to see. So what does that have to do with pre-treating? A tight, smooth fabric will take less pre-treat to render that bright, crisp finish image we talked about. Less pre-treat on the shirt results in a softer feel to the fabric around the image and makes a better presentation to our customer. Pre-treating white shirts. Unlike color shirts that must be pre-treated, white shirts with just CMYK inks offer the option of pre-treating or not to pre-treat. My opinion, it's personal preference and the market you're serving. For most decorators, an image on a non-pre-treated shirt is perfectly acceptable. So what does pre-treating add? Your image will be a little brighter, the color's a little more true, and you'll get a little bit better washability. Bottom line, what does your customer expect? In my experience, more DTG decorators do not pre-treat a white shirt than do. Already pre-treated shirts. And here's the quote. It can't be the shirt. I bought it already pre-treated. It's got to be me, right? Let's not be too hasty there. Already pre-treated shirts are a great way to skip the pre-treating step, but they're not all perfect. In reality, some already pre-treated shirts print better than others. I say don't blame yourself immediately if prints aren't what you would expect. Experiment with every style and every color you plan to decorate, and always test against the same graphic printed on a shirt you know has ideal pre-treat application. We're only going to get better from here with the already pre-treated shirts, but just don't be so quick to blame yourself. Can I pre-treat ahead of time? Since pre-treated shirts are available for purchase from a t-shirt wholesaler, there's some level of shelf life, obviously. Why does that matter to a decorator who does their own pre-treating as needed? Because during production downtime, your staff can be pre-treating shirts rather than standing around or being sent home without pay. If you pre-treat ahead, it's better to store those shirts in a cool, dark place. Putting them back in the same box they came in is perfectly fine. The key is what you do before you print. Pulling a shirt out of storage, you'll see that the fibers on the surface have been pulled up by the shirt that's on top of it. That causes a rough texture in your print. And if you're in any area that has humidity in your shop, the shirt will also absorb moisture. The solution is easy. Just before you print, heat press the shirt for about 5 seconds. That resolves both issues, and your shirt will react just as if you had just pre-treated it. This is actually a part of an upcoming article I have in Screen Printing Magazine, so check it out. And that's my secret sauce for today. Erica, I don't hear you. So I'm
and see, you didn't get a chance to overdub me. I was muted and everything. I was going to say, yeah, it was I just really like that secret sauce. I don't know. I like hearing you talk about the sides of the business. I don't get to touch that much. So it was just kind of cool to hear more about pre-treatment and how to handle it.
And there's little nuances to all these things that, none of this is plug and play.
I think that's the funny thing. It's just like everything we do. I know I've heard so many times people think of an embroidery machine as a thread printer. They're going to throw a garment at it. It's just going to work. And I mean, same thing. I imagine it's much worse with like DTG and DTF. People just really expect it to be a push button thing. And that's cool to kind of get into the weeds a little bit and understand it better.
Yep. All right.
Well, we come to the close of another show. So thanks to Stephen Farag. Hopefully I've finally gotten it right. We both did different pronunciations were right. And Bruce Ackerman for joining us today. We actually got quite a lot of great information out of it.
All right. And thank you, Eric, for not only being the show producer, but guest hosting yet again and on the fly, because in your makeshift office before you get everything set up there at home.
Hey, at least it worked out. I'm glad we managed it, and we have. Looks like we've got solid internet. So you always have to cross your fingers when you start somewhere new. I'm pretty glad it turned out. But
Exactly.
Next week we do have an excellent guest coming up. Our good friend Johnny Shell, Key Point Intelligence, is going to be back on the podcast to discuss the current state of the decorated apparel industry. Boy, I love that.
Me too. I always love when Johnny's on the show. He's always got gems of information that I'm like that surprised me. So make sure you tune in next week to see Johnny Shell. And until then, I'm Terry Combs, and sitting in from Aaron Montgomery, he's Eric Campbell.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.